7th. It's 1:30 p.m. We're calling the meeting to order, and could you please give your attention to this short video?
Due to COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted as a Zoom meeting pursuant to the provisions of Assembly Bill 361, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. This meeting is being live streamed on the CCTA website. The chair will call upon members, staff, and other speakers by name. Please speak clearly and state your name before giving comments or remarks. Persons participating via Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Members participating by Zoom wishing to speak should physically raise their hand and unmute their mic when called upon. Members should mute their mics when done speaking. Citizens participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the Raise Hand feature or dial *9 if participating via phone, and the chair or staff will call upon them at the appropriate time. Citizens will have 3 minutes to speak. After 3 minutes, staff will lower their hand and mute their mic. Participants via phone will be called upon by the last 4 digits of their phone number. It is requested that public speakers state their names and organization, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received in accordance with the teleconferencing special notice for public comment guidelines are printed on the meeting agenda. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they should raise their hand and the chair will call upon them at the appropriate time. All written correspondence received after that and during the meeting will be entered into the record. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. Thank you for participating in a meeting of the Contra Costa Transportation Authority.
Thank you. Jackie, could you please take the roll call?
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Carlson?
Here.
Commissioner Meadows?
Here.
Commissioner Haskew?
Here.
Commissioner Sauce?
Here.
And Vice Chair Kelly?
Here.
Thank you. We have all commissioners present.
Okay, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is public comment for items that are not on today's agenda. Jackie, have we received any written public comments?
No public comments received.
And is there anyone wishing to speak on an item that is not on the agenda today? If so, please raise your hand. Okay, so seeing none, we will move on. Now, our next item here is the consent calendar. Do the commissioners want to pull any items on consent? No, I don't see any hands. And Jackie, do we have any comments from the public on the consent calendar? Does anyone wish to speak on the consent calendar?
No public comments received, and I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, so then is there a, yeah.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Okay, motion by Haskew, seconded by Carlson. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Commissioner Carlson?
Aye.
Commissioner Meadows?
Aye.
Commissioner Haskew?
Aye.
Commissioner Sauce?
Yes.
Vice Chair Kelly?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Oh, great. So now we move on to our regular agenda items. And the first item on the agenda is to approval to proceed with a countywide means-based fare program, an allocation of Contra Costa Measure X funds to East Contra Costa Transit Authority, otherwise known as Tri-Delta, for the ongoing operation of the program. And this will be presented by Ying Smith. Ying?
Thank you, Vice Chair Kelly. Ying Smith, Director of Mobility Programs. I believe today is the first time that the Planning Committee is receiving an update on the East County Means-Based Fare pilot. My presentation today will include both a progress report on the pilot as well as recommendations for the next steps. The pilot is a partnership between CCTA, Contra Costa County, and Tri-Delta Transit. I would like to first recognize that we have in the audience today from Tri-Delta Transit, Deanna Perry, and from Contra Costa County, John Cunningham. And I want to thank them for being here and help me co-present. So I'm going to share my screen here. Just give me 1 second. Interesting, my I apologize, my maybe have too many windows open. Is the window I need is not showing up. Let me try again.
Alt-Tab.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Do we see, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, first I want to give some background on the East County Low-Income Pilot Program. This was a recommendation from the Accessible Transportation Strategic Plan under Strategy 20. It's a continuation and expansion of means-based fare subsidy for low-income populations. The pilot is funded by $100,000 in Contra Costa County Measure X funds with the authority board's approval in January. Under this program, which was launched on April 1st, all existing ADA paratransit passengers in the Tri-Delta Transit Service area who meet the extremely low income criteria are eligible to participate. CCTA worked with the Tri-Delta Transit in promoting the program. We try many ways, the postcards to phone, the automatic phone calls, as well as flyers on the paratransit vehicles. I think one of the most important way to promote the program was through the in-person communication. There are more details on the program. First, CCTA partnered with a Contra Costa Crisis Center with the 211 number that they help handle the customer service calls as well as the income eligibility verification. Eligible participants will receive one 10-ride ticket book each month. The value is $27.50. All pilot participants will receive 6 books totaling 60 tickets, regardless when they start. And here is the report as of July 31st. That was sort of at the 4-month mark. Altogether, the Crisis Center received 129 unique inquiries. They processed 60 income eligibility checks and approved 54 passengers. The count as of the end of August was 64 eligible customers. The next slide shows a map and the count of the participants by location. This is based on their home location. And I want to share some feedback. First, I want to share that overall the pilot actually went smoothly. And we want to highlight some of the major lessons learned. The first thing is because the Tri-Delta Transit customers are used to call their number for reservations and any customer service questions, having a new number for them to call can be confusing to some passengers. So we work through those issues, but recognize that is a point of confusion. Having these 2 agencies between the service provider, Tri-Delta Transit, and the Contra Costa Crisis Center as the customer center, it actually requires a lot of work for us all coordinate, as well as coordinate with CCTA. The Crisis Center did add a lot of value in this pilot. They were able to, when they have the customers on the phone, not only they help them with the income verification, they offer other programs the 211 program can offer. So that was really just additional value added to it. So one thing they noticed, there are some communication and how to exchange the information for the income eligibility. But all in all, the feedback has been very good. Also want to point out that Tri-Delta Transit, the team has made a lot of efforts in reaching out to the customers. You can see at the beginning, the response rate was relatively low, like lower than expected. So they try when one thing didn't work, they try many ways. So it was a really good partnership. And the next thing I just want to share with you what our participants have to say. So with those changes, we want to share with you that, let me see. Before we talk about some of the changes moving forward, I want to just jump into the staff recommendation. So this is a 6-month pilot that will end at the end of September. So the staff recommendations come in 2 points. One is we recommend that the pilot to be extended to a regular program and expanded to countywide. And for the Measure X funds we anticipate to receive from the county, would like to start for 1 year, 12 months. So that means we will work closely not only with Tri-Delta Transit, but also with WestCat as well as County Connection to launch this to countywide. And the second point of the staff recommendation is to approve the resolution attached to the staff report to have this program, the partnership with Tri-Delta Transit, to run, continue the program with no gap for 12 months. The ATSP Task Force Working Group received a similar report in August. The working group members have many questions for us, as well as some, not only for the pilot, but also for the proposed program. But overall, we heard support for the continuation with Tri-Delta Transit program, as well as expand it to a countywide program. And I want to just share with you some of the changes we want to make. Staff believe the pilot has given us opportunity to test the demand as well as to improve the practice. The changes we want to make is to establish Tri-Delta Transit as a single point of contact for customer service as well as for the income verification. We have many discussions, and we really appreciate Tri-Delta Transit team stepping up to take on the additional responsibilities. We think this will give us the best customer service to eliminate the confusion, as well as just learn from within and to further improve the program. So here we summarize the staff recommendations. At this point, I would like to invite my colleagues from Tri-Delta Transit. Deanna, would you like to say a few words about your experience and any other input you may have?
Sure. Thank you, Ying. I just want to thank everyone who participated in starting this program. It's been really great. We've had a lot of positive feedback from our customers. It did go a little bit slower in the beginning than I anticipated, but if we compare this to other programs with paratransit participants, we know that sometimes it does take a little bit of time for the snowball to gain momentum. So we learned some things, we tried some different things, we did some outreach, and overall, I think it will be a good program to take in-house so that we can give our customers all the information they need when we have them on the initial call. And then that way we can walk them through it, handhold them, so to speak, and just get the program up and running. And I just really appreciate it. I want to thank Ying and John Cunningham and everyone who helped participate in the program. It's been really great. And I'm hoping that it's going to stay for a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. And since we have John Cunningham from the county also on the call, John, would you like to say a few things?
Yeah, thank you, Ying. Yeah, this is John Cunningham with Contra Costa County Department of Conservation and Development. I'll just point out a couple of things. that this program is a key concept in the recently adopted Accessible Transportation Strategic Plan. That concept is coordination, enhanced coordination. It's the gold standard in this service area, accessible transportation. And with this project, we have really done that successfully with Tri-Delta Transit's expertise and energy and the know-how from Deanna Perry, the Contra Costa Crisis Center, and from CCTA. The coordination in this project is really impressive, and there's going to be more coordinated efforts rolling out in the future as well. And then I guess one other thing more broadly, if you're familiar with the dialogue in the run-up to the Accessible Transportation Strategic Plan and during the conduct of the study, you know, staff focused on the fact that we have studied this area endlessly with zero implementation. We wanted to sort of own that background. Well, this project has put an end to that legacy, and I think that's something that should be pointed out. It should be celebrated. CCTA should be congratulated for this. We are bringing direct improvements to vulnerable populations with this program, and so on behalf of the county, thank you for helping our Measure X be effective through this program. And yeah, that's all I had. Thanks for the opportunity to chime in on this.
Thank you all. So now I'd like to see if any commissioners have questions, and I see that Luella has her hand raised. Luella?
Actually, I don't have a question. I have a hip hip hooray. I'm on the committee, and I only missed one meeting, and it was this August one, and it must have been breathtaking with all of the things that fell into place. So I'm sorry I missed it, and I didn't get to celebrate then, but internally I'm going hip hip hooray. Good job, team.
Thank you, Luella. Renata?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ying, thank you, and Deanna, for the presentation. So it sounds like there were potentially some participants that may have been frustrated by the difficulties posed by, the 2 points of contact, et cetera. What assumptions are going into this coming year with those improvements in terms of ridership? Are you assuming an uptick in participation because of the tweaks that you're sensibly making, or what are the ridership and usage assumptions that underlie the $194,000 funding request?
Thank you for that question. I think that's a really valid question. Originally, when we started the program, we estimated in the Tri-Delta Transit area will be about 400 participants will be eligible, and it's a lot lower. When I look at the trend, it's like a slow increase. Is there's some uptick at the beginning, and when Tri-Delta Transit did the automatic phone call message, there was some uptick. But now we haven't been doing like blanket promotion, but we're seeing a few calls a day. I think it will. We also compare notes with MTC on the Clipper Start program. It looks like in this population, the trip making rate is not very high. So we shouldn't be too discouraged by the low participation. So there are many reasons we're still taking a deep dive into it. What we anticipate, we budgeted for 350 participants. We adjust some numbers, but that will be the maximum. We'll be happy to get to that point, right? If people are really taking advantage of the program and they're eligible. We want to budget it so we don't have to come back to you for just to increase the ticket, the budget for the ticket. But we probably get to a lower number between the 350, the best case scenario, and the 64 we have as of today. We think is somewhere there. So we think improving on the customer service side will help when people have a good experience to get the word out to others. So I think we'll just keep trying and keep reaching out to them in a digital way as well as the old-fashioned way, just however way we can get the message out.
Thank you. I mean, I think this is fantastic. So thank you for the suggested improvements, and I hope they yield results.
Any other commissioners? Well, then Ying, I have some questions. I mean, I think it's a great program. But I have a concern and I just want to ask some questions about costs. So for this pilot, 100,000 was allocated and you've now given out tickets to 54 people. I realize that in the beginning, there's a lot of startup costs, you know, and trying to reach out. Will we ever see any kind of accounting of how the money was spent? Not only the money on the tickets, but, you know, what's going into the marketing and those kinds of things. And then the other question is going forward. So you're budgeting 194,000 for Tri-Delta to do the same, increase the participants possibly up to 400,000. So that's $194,000 for this 12-month period starting in October. So I'd be interested to see, you know, what the accounting is for that. And I would imagine that once the program gets rolling, say at the end of the next 12 months, that the costs might come down a little bit, because then you will have reached out and people will be talking to other people and so forth. And I would suggest, if you're not doing it now, you know, get out some little postcards and take them to the senior centers and churches and places where a lot of these people might go. You know, maybe, I don't know, maybe John knows at the county health services offices, there are places, you know, because I think just passing out little bits of information can be really, really helpful. In any event, can you tell me what your thoughts might be for the costs going forward?
Really good question. We have similar questions we discussed at the working group. Trust me, I was staying at the numbers for quite a while. So far in the pilot, we spend about 1/3 of the cost or less than 1/3 of the expenses on the actual ticket value. We do spend the other 2/3 on the admin. You did recognize at the beginning, we do have to spend a lot of time to get things going. As we move to the permanent program, the admin side will come down, but it will still be a significant number. And staff is not necessarily happy about that, but we wanted to continue and want to look for some opportunities to not only increase our number of participants, but also how we reduce the admin costs, find some smart ways to go about it. We are talking about some ideas and we're not ready to share, but we just want to assure the commissioners we are sensitive to cost and really want to put more resources to the actual benefits to the customers. And so we will give the update to the working group and the task force and then bring it back to you. But trust us, we will look for those opportunities. We recognize that it's a bit disproportional in terms of how we spend our resources at this point. John?
Yeah, and I understand, and getting a program like this going does take time, but if we were to keep it going for a very long time, the cost could become astronomical, particularly if you factor in the needs and, you know, with County Connection and with WestCat. So keep talking about it and, you know, report back to us at some point. I'd appreciate that. Okay, Jackie, have we received any comments about this item?
No public comments received.
And is there anyone who wishes to make a public comment on this item?
I see no hands raised.
Okay, so we have a resolution before us. Would someone like to make a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, so motion by Sauce, seconded by Haskew. Jackie, can we have the roll call, please?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Carlson.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner Haskew.
Yes.
Commissioner Sauce.
Yes.
Vice Chair Kelly.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner Meadows absent.
Okay. And thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you, Deanna, and thank you, John. Appreciate it. So our next item on the regular agenda is approval of the release of the 2023 Congestion Management Program for Contra Costa County. And Matt Kelly is going to present this.
Thank you, Chair Kelly. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Matt Kelly. I'm the Senior Transportation Planner for the Authority. I am here to talk about the draft 2023 Congestion Management Program. The CMP is a state required program that we are required to update every 2 years. This will be our 16th update of the document, as we first did it in 1991. just a little history. I always say this every 2 years when we bring this to you, just as a reminder. The CMP legislation from way back in 1991 was actually based on our fledgling growth management program that was passed under Measure C. So basically, the state was looking at how they could kind of link land use and transportation. And they looked at our GMP and said, this looks like a good way to do it. So let's make it required statewide. Now, the CMP isn't exactly like our GMP, but it does have some similar components, and it is required for all urban counties in the state. So when we update our CMP, there's a few things we have to update or document in this document. But there are other things where we defer to our growth management program, because that's where we do these, like I said, the land use, transportation, interaction, the analysis of the impacts of land use on the transportation system. That's all done in our growth management program. So we generally treat this update kind of like a technical exercise where we make sure we are fulfilling the state requirements, but we're really focusing our efforts on our growth management program, because that's where we do all of our good work, at least in my honest opinion. So I'm just going to describe to you what we are focusing on this update of the congestion management program for 2023. So basically, since the last CMP in 2021, there is now a new regional transportation plan adopted by MTC in October of 2021, known as Plan Bay Area 2050. So the CMP must be consistent with the current RTP. So we've made sure that the two documents are in alignment. Another thing we're doing is we're updating all of our performance measures. One thing you have to document in the CMP is how you're measuring the performance of the transportation system. So we always go and update all of our different efforts that we work on that have different performance measures, like Innovate 680, like the action plans, like some of the other efforts that are being worked on around the county. So we always document what's going on there. We document what our local transit agencies are doing in terms of how they monitor the performance of their systems. And then usually the two major things we do each time for the CMP is monitor the CMP network. In our case, that is all the freeways in the county, and then a system of 65 intersections. We monitor all of those for their levels of service. Level of service is required under the CMP. It's a little weird in that the state took LOS out of CEQA, but they've left it in the CMP. That's something we've been kind of pushing the state to do, is to get in alignment there. But right now they're out of alignment. So we're still doing that LOS monitoring around the county every 2 years. But we kind of try and add value to it by also collecting bike and pedestrian data at all those intersections. So we now have a pretty robust collection of bike and pedestrian movements at all those locations, which we wouldn't have had otherwise. And then we also make all of those intersection counts available to the cities, so they don't need to go out and do extra LOS analysis on their intersections. And if they need the bike and ped data, that's available. The other major thing we do is we update the CIP, the Capital Improvement Program. It's a 7-year list of projects in the CMP. Basically, it's projects that are kind of moving forward on the near term, that are hoping to have all their funding in place in the next 7 years. So what we do is we reach out to all of the agencies in Contra Costa and our regional project sponsors to go into our online database and update all of their project information and add any new projects, so that we can put together our CMP CIP. I apologize for all the acronyms because they're all very similar. So we will use all of that updated information that we're getting from the project sponsors right now. That is ongoing through August, September, and into October. And we will get all of that new project information as well as the project costs into the CIP. Right now, it's valued at about $17 billion. I'm not sure if it'll go up or down. It just depends on what kind of updates we get from the project sponsors. But hopefully it gets one of the main goals is also to get it cleaned up. So if it does get cleaned up like I hope it does, the cost will probably go down overall. So that is what we're doing right now, and that those project updates will also inform our CTP, our Countywide Transportation Plan update, which, as you know, we've just kicked off, and it'll also inform the call for projects for the RTP, which MTC has asked us for new information on our existing projects and new projects that we have to get to them by later this year. So this kind of update of all the projects will inform those three different efforts: the CMP, the CTP, and the RTP. So there's a lot going on, but we feel like things are in good shape. The plan is there for you to review. The executive summary is in the packet, and the full few hundred-page document is on our website. And we'll be going around to all the RTP CTACs this month to make sure they're aware of the CMP, and also to make sure their staff is updating the project data. So we plan on coming back to you in December to adopt the final CMP. And but it'll be open for comment through late October. So that's my presentation today, and I can take any questions.
Thank you, Matt. That's a mouthful.
It is.
And thank you for working on that, to you and to John. My gosh. Okay, so commissioners, do you have any questions or comments? Renata?
Two quick questions, Matt. Thank you for that. Question one is, how does this allow for everybody's sixth cycle of RHNA? And two is, what is the process for collecting input from interested parties?
Yeah, so on your first question, the RHNA, the state has not aligned these two, much like they haven't aligned this with CEQA. They haven't aligned it with RHNA. There's really no housing component, discrete housing component to the CMP. It's really just that general land use that counties are, looking at the impacts of land use decisions on the transportation system, and that we do through the action plans and the growth management program. So I would say the action plans are really where that alignment is between housing and our efforts in growth management. So yeah, it really doesn't have any relationship to the CMP, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but we definitely make sure it's a part of the GMP.
Okay, thanks. And then the process for collecting comments, is that in writing, or do we do outreach?
It's generally done in writing. That can be submitted to me or through any of our committees. Yeah, so, and we'll be going through all the RTPCs to hopefully get staff comments there. But if there are any public comments or comments from elected officials, that can either come through your staff or directly to me.
Thank you.
Well,
Starting with you are contacting the city transportation people directly, or do we have to carry the message back?
Yeah, so we've for the update of the projects, we went through your single point of contact. Each city has a person that's assigned to that, but we copied all of the transportation folks on that email because they're generally the ones, either them or Public Works folks are filling out the information. And then we generally get to the transportation folks through the RTPC tax if we didn't get them through that transmittal.
You. This is my comment. My comment is after almost 11 years of Transpac and CCTA, I can now proudly say that my understanding of those acronyms is up to 60%. So I'm feeling like an old timer. We're waiting for public comment, and then after that, I'd like to make the motion.
Thank you, Luella. And Matt, just a real quick question. There's so many of these plans. Is it ever a possibility that the CMP could become part of the GMP? Or are they just two totally separate items?
Well, no. So the last CMP in 2021, there was a lot of discussion around the Bay Area about counties opting out of the CMP process. That is an option. We do have the GMP to fall back on. So we're still doing the same. We're putting in the same effort as those with that are opted into the CMP legislation. But a lot of the CMA executive directors discussed it, and I think most of those CMAs backed off after that conversation a couple of years ago, because technically you're not a CMA anymore, or well, you lose your CMA role, and that was a concern amongst a lot of the CMAs. And the requirement, if you don't prepare a CMP, is that you do a CTP. So we're already doing that. So we know we're covered, but it's more about, are we protected in the same way? Do we still get our pass-through funds from MTC? Things like that if we lose our CMA designation.
Okay, I got it. Thank you. All right. Are there any, Jackie, do we have any written public comments about this item?
No written public comments received.
And does anyone here want to speak on this? Seeing none. Luella, I think you wanted to make a motion?
I move to approve the release of the CMP.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Haskew, seconded by Sauce. Jackie, please take the roll.
Thank you. Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Meadows, Commissioner Haskew,
Yes.
Commissioner Sauce,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kelly.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner Meadows absent.
Okay, great. So our next item on the regular agenda is to approve the release for proposals 23-2 for preparation of the countywide transportation plan environmental impact report. And Matt's also going to present this. Matt?
You again, Chair Kelly. I'll try not to get as deep into the alphabet soup on this item, but there are some acronyms here. As you all know, we've kicked off the countywide transportation plan, or the CTP, in the last couple of months following the completion of the action plans. One major component of the CTP is that it is analyzed through the CEQA process and preparing an EIR. This is what we've done for our previous 3 countywide transportation plans. As you've probably heard before, EIRs aren't necessarily required for a countywide transportation plan. However, because our board has opted to prepare EIRs in the past, our legal counsel has advised us to continue to prepare EIRs on our CTP. Otherwise, we may be questioned as to why we aren't doing an EIR, and we feel it just adds some added protection to what we're doing, and it really I think gives the CTP a thorough it really is put it through the ringer, and we have a much stronger product when we've adopted the CTP. We are proposing to go out for a full RFP process as opposed to using our on-call bench for this. And that's because the type of EIR that's done for a programmatic document like the CTP is very different than ones done for your typical transportation projects. They're just looked at very differently, and it takes a different kind of environmental firm as opposed to a transportation firm to prepare this type of EIR. So we're proposing to release RFP 23-2 with an amount not to exceed $450,000 to retain a qualified consultant to prepare that EIR, and it includes running of our transportation travel demand model, so we can see what will happen in 2050, what our network, what our transportation system will look like in the future. And we are referring to this CTP as CTP 2050 because it is looking 25 plus years out into the future. So that is my presentation today. Really, our ask of you today is to approve the release of this RFP, and then we will come back to you after we've gone through the consultant retention process, and we will come back to you with a proposal for a consultant that we wish to retain and get your approval then. So I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Matt. Do the commissioners have any questions about this? No? Well, Matt, I think it's a wise move. Absolutely. So Jackie, do we have any written comments about this item?
No written comments.
And does anyone from the public care to speak on this? No? Then do I hear a resolution from the commissioners?
So moved.
Okay. Who was that? Was that, okay, motion by Carlson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Yes,
Okay, seconded by Sauce. Jackie, could you take the roll, please?
Yes, Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Meadows, Commissioner Haskew,
yes,
Commissioner Sauce,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kelly.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner Meadows absent.
Okay. So our next item on the agenda is approval of resolution 23-08-G, programming and appropriating $490,000 in annual share of Measure J, pedestrian, bicycle, and trail facility funds for East Bay Regional Park District, Point Pinole Park, Wildcat Creek Trail Rehabilitation. And this is going to be presented by Colin Clark. Welcome, Colin.
Thank you very much, Chair. And I should have made the title longer, but maybe next time. Sorry about that. We have Michael Stengel and Katie Hornbeck here today from the Park District, and I want to just quickly introduce this item. So under Measure J, there's the PBTF program annual share for the Park District from the expenditure plan 2004, and the 0.5% of, 1/3 of the three portions of PBTF, which is equivalent to a 0.5% of the total sales tax, goes to the Park District annually, and it's supposed to go equally to each of the subregions within the Park District. And so right now, the 4 subregions are actually extremely close to each other, within a 0.5% or less of equal distribution. And so today we're hearing about a proposal from the Park District in West County, and the idea is that in the coming months you would hear of the proposed project for the South Counties SWAT area, and then each subregion after that to keep it as equal as possible. And basically these funds are for the development and the rehabilitation of paved regional trails, and it has gone through the Regional Transportation Planning Advisory Committee, the both the Technical Advisory Committee and the Policy Advisory Committee in terms of a recommended approval. And so with that, I want to hand it over to Michael and Katie, and thanks for being here.
Hi, good afternoon. Katie Hornbeck, Grants Manager with the Park District. I'll tee off the presentation and then turn it over to Michael. Can everyone see the slideshow?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Colin did a great job introducing because he stole my first few slides, so this will go by quick. So we're here today to get approval for the Wildcat Creek Trail Rehabilitation Project. This is in the WCTAC region. As Colin mentioned, we've already made 2 stops along the way in the review and approval process. And now we're here today with you. And then our next stop will be with the CCTA full board. As Colin mentioned, it ends up being approximately 30 million. A third of that, 30 million of the Measure J funds, a third of that being allocated to the Park District. We spend that equally amongst the 4 regions. So basically we come to a region every 4 years requesting usually between 400,000 and 500,000, depending on the project and how many trails we want to try to address in that region in that year. This year, just with the pandemic, we missed a year or two, so we'll be coming. You'll see us again later this year for the SWAT region. But to date, we have spent approximately 3.7 of what is allocated to the Park District, and as Colin said, it has been roughly equal in each region. Specifically in the WCTAC region, we've spent about 900,000 of Measure J funds for rehabilitation projects and trail projects. So we've done two allocations or appropriations in this region. The first was in 2014, where we did 3 rehab projects in 3 different sections of trail, and then came back in 2018 to do rehabilitation on 4 different sections of trail. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Michael, who's a project coordinator within our maintenance and skilled trades division. He's basically the guy who gets this done. So he's going to highlight some of the projects completed before talking about the new project we'll be requesting funds for.
So you can see here, this is some of the work that's in the West region that's in better condition than the proposed section. This is the Point Isabel Bay Trail. This work was recently done. Next slide, please. And then this is Point Pinole Bay Trail to the pier. Again, improvements have been made already. And Katie, can go to the next. And then this is the Pinole Shores Bay Trail. It was widened in sections and given some patching and slurry seals. So the 2023 WCTAC projects requesting 490,000 for Contra Costa County Regional Trail WCTAC. EBR PD staff time, contract administration is in kind. Rehabilitate 1.2 miles, approximately 65,000 square feet of the Wildcat Creek Trail in Point Pinole Regional Shoreline Park. Why is this project proposed? Poor trail conditions, cracking, and it's basically beyond its service life. The budget is shown in the bar below, square feet, the proposed amount, what we're asking for the appropriation, and what anything that exceeds that the Park District will cover. Next slide, please. This is a map of the general area, and it goes, through this section of trail here behind a school, a warehouse, and be south of the dump, and then basically out to the edge of the wetlands there. It's an interesting site with a lot going on. Next slide, please. And this is some examples of the trail condition. The trail is cracked. There's the fatigue life has just been exceeded as far as the pavement and what it can do. Next one, please. And there's, in addition, root damage and other defects that need to be corrected. The project details planning and schedule. Trail work consists of removal and replacement of the asphalt concrete, best management practices, hours work, noise, dust, etc. Paving program administrator will be developing outreach and notification plan for the local jurisdictions. scheduled in October of 2023, December of 2023. Construction begin as soon as funding is secured. And additionally, I'd like to say it is out to bid now and waiting for the proposal back from the contractor, which should be coming in hopefully in the next week or two. Any
Great. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Michael. We're happy to, I'll stop sharing here, and then we're happy to answer any questions as best we can.
Thank you for this presentation. I want to note that in June, a similar presentation was given to WICTAC, and it was discussed by all of those board members. So any questions here from the commissioners? Comments? No, I have one question, Michael, maybe directed to you, and that is, does this trail go underneath the Richmond Parkway?
It does.
And is there any rehabilitation going underneath there as well?
No, because it's concrete where it goes underneath there. So it does.
But
does
still
not-
passable there.
Yes, it currently, I believe, is passable.
Okay, okay, keep my fingers crossed. Okay, any other questions or comments? Jackie, do we have any written comments from the public?
No public comments received.
And does anyone wish to speak on this item? No, then we have a resolution before us. So would someone like to make a motion for
Sure
approval of
thing.
resolution?
I move that we accept resolution 23-08-G for this
Okay.
project.
Thank you. Motion by Haskew. A second, is there?
Second?
Seconded by Carlson. Jackie, can we have the roll call, please?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Meadows, Commissioner Haskew,
Yes,
Commissioner Sauce,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kelly.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner Meadows absent.
Great, thank you. So our last item on the agenda is an update on the California Public Utilities Commission Local Agency Technical Assistance Grant for the Contra Costa Countywide Broadband Strategic Plan in the amount of $500,000. And this will be presented by John Huang. John?
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Kelly, John Huang, and Vice Chair Kelly and Commissioners. John Huang, Director of Planning. For this item, staff will be providing you information on the grant and asking authorization to enter in the task order with Kimley Horn and Associates to perform the work that the CPUC established for the grant. This is a good news item. The CPUC established a LATIP program called Local Agency Technical Assistance Program, offering up $15 million to all the jurisdictions in California to prepare a broadband implementation plan, essentially to expand broadband to communities lacking sufficient services and internet access. So in December of last year, staff on behalf of CCTA submitted an application to develop a Contra Costa Countywide broadband strategic plan in an amount of $500,000. The purpose is really to establish an implementation roadmap for the county for network design for unserved and underserved communities within Contra Costa County. So unserved and underserved doesn't necessarily meaning priority areas of concern, but also areas like in the mountains or somewhere where as far away from the main city limits where internets are lacking. So what we received the good news back on June 30th that we were awarded the grant, and we needed to send a consent letter back within 30 days. So our executive director, Tim Hale, sent that, had to go and sign that and sent it back to the CPUC in order to not jeopardize our award because we need to return it within 30 days. Just back some background information, CPUC to date received 126 applications and 101 applications were funded. So nearly $47.6 million were funded, and I think we're the only agency in Contra Costa County that was funded. I was aware that the county had applied for it and also the city of Pittsburgh. The basis of our application is it ties into a previous work that we've done on developing a countywide fiber communication feasibility study the past couple of years. And CCTA wanted to identify the need for fiber optic communication throughout the county and develop a fiber network that would enable high-speed internet services, for the transportation network as well as the communities and municipalities. Because once that backbone is in place, it really provides access to municipalities, city halls, and various communities. And then also currently, as you know, CCTA is leading a major intelligent transportation system project called the Countywide Smart Signals. And in that project, there's a lot of communications that are involved. And right now, we're utilizing existing fiber communication in some of the cities and using wireless in some other cities. And ultimately, we want to have fiber optics communications deployed throughout the whole network. So this effort here with the CPUC really sets us, CCTA, and the whole county to be in line for future funding. And I anticipate with the focus on broadband and communications, there's going to be much more funding coming down the line for construction and deployment. So that was our interest in this effort also. And we feel that we will be working with the county during this project and other cities as well. And the second part of this item is asking for us to enter in a task order with Kimley Horn and Associates. So Kimley Horn was on our bench, and based on their experience, and they were actually they helped one of the agencies early on in the application process who were also successful in receiving the grant. So we decided to utilize them from the bench to help us put this application together. And unfortunately, it did work out for us. And part of the application process required us to actually lay out the whole scope of work down to the detail. And that was part of Kimley Horn's scope. And that's what we're going to be using to enter in the task order with Kimley Horn. So with that, I'll answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any questions or comments here from the commissioners? No? John, I think it just speaks to the CPUC's faith in CCTA to get things done that are really, really important. So it's an honor to receive this. And it's great that we can move ahead, and it'll integrate with some of the things we're doing, as you said, with the Smart Signals project. It's all kind of connected. Okay, Jackie, any comments from the public on this?
No comments received.
And does anybody want to speak on this? I don't think we have anybody else from the public here. Okay, so then do I hear a motion to seek authorization to issue and execute task number 4 with Kimley Horn?
Oh, Ken should make it.
So moved.
All right, motion by Carlson.
I second it. You were preaching to the choir, and it's with an enthusiastic second.
Thank you, Loyal. And second by Haskew. Jackie, can you take the roll, please?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Meadows, Commissioner Haskew,
Yes.
Commissioner Sauce,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kelly.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner Meadows absent.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So now we're moving on to correspondence and communications. I don't have any comments. I'm the vice chair. I don't think we have any communications. Do the commissioners have any comments or items to report on? No, Tim or John, do you have any comments to add?
No comments from me, Madam Chair. And then
Okay.
John, do you have any comments?
No comments. Thank you.
Okay, so we've now reached the end Thank you for a 1-hour meeting, and we will adjourn, and our next regular meeting is proposed for October 5th at 1:30 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
See you soon.
Bye.